I'm Wanda King with Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Beta Pi Omega chapter. I'm the chair of the Women's Healthcare and Wellness Target 2. Along with me this evening is actually our co-chair, LaShawn Kelly. Thank you for joining us. We know that people are really struggling with COVID-19, so we decided to have one of our sorority sisters, Sharita Bilson, join us for a question and answer period so we can talk about things that you're dealing with. Sharita Bilson is a native of Greensboro, North Carolina. She's a devoted wife and mother and is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated Beta Pi Omega chapter. Sharita is a graduate of John Brown University, where she recently earned double master's degrees in marriage and family therapy and clinical mental health counseling. She also received her bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of North Carolina, Greensboro. Therapist, also, she is the founder of the CEO of Black Therapists Unite, an organization that brings therapists together to strengthen the Black community. She owns a private practice, Grace Place Therapy, where she has the humble opportunity to serve and provide therapy for all people. Sharita loves spending time with her family, spending time in nature, shopping, traveling, and above all, wants nothing more in life than to make God smile. We're so happy to have Sharita Bilson with us this evening, and we thought that we would begin by just asking a few questions and have a little conversation about COVID-19 and coping.
Thank you so much, Sharita, for joining us this evening. We're going to jump right into our conversation and question session, and we hope that this information will be a blessing to all the listeners on our social media platform and give them information that they need to take care of their mental health while we're going through this. So our first question: how much information should we share with our children about COVID-19? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's the thing about sharing information with our children. They're not oblivious to the fact that life has changed. Maybe some of our younger ones, but obviously our middle-aged and older children are fully aware of what's going on. Maybe not every detail, but they know that something is not right. And so I would encourage parents to share at the level of their age. So the way in which you would share with maybe a 4-year-old, we have a 4-year-old, he knows nothing, and that's okay. But if you have a teenager or a college student, absolutely having those conversations as it relates to what's going on in the world as it relates to COVID-19. So just simply being aware of the age and sharing age appropriate information with your children.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you allow them to, let's say a 13-year-old, watch the news, or would you just limit it to conversation?
I think it just kind of depends on your parenting style. If you're more involved and want the words or the information to come directly from you, then absolutely you do the talking. But if you're that type of parent where you're like, okay, well, let's sit on the couch together and let's watch the news. And if you have any questions, then feel free to ask me. But it really depends on you as a parent, and then just kind of monitoring what you feel your child can handle.
Okay.
Awesome. So what are some things individuals can do to help with the stress of being isolated from family and friends?
I think that's a really tough one because you have a lot of people who are already battling mental illness as it is, specifically maybe some anxiety and depression. And so I found that with being isolated, you have to be really intentional about what you need. And so perhaps going old school, picking up the phone and calling. You know, a lot of times we just kind of text or we connect with people through social media, and those things are fantastic, and they have, you know, the pros and the cons. But just simply picking up the phone to connect with people that you haven't talked with in a while, that can help you with your isolation. I think communicating your needs to your inner circle those people that you call your people, connecting with them to let them know, like, hey, perhaps I'm feeling really down today. I need to pick me up. Can we FaceTime? Can you just ride by the house and, stay outside, keeping social distancing? Can you just kind of ride by the house, or can I even ride by the house if I'm really struggling today? So in this season right now, we're going to have to get really creative as it relates to how we're connecting with people so that we don't just kind of bury ourselves in isolation, even though we have to practice social distancing, which we really need to work on. But we can also get creative as to what it looks like to not just bury ourselves in isolation, but actually doing something different and creative to make sure that we're staying connected with our people.
Sharita, those sound really easy, but we get so busy that we
Yeah.
think about all those common sense things.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. That's awesome.
And that segues into my next question about keeping a regular routine.
Oh, yeah.
So can we incorporate some of those ideas into our regular routine? What are your thoughts on our needs for keeping a regular routine with this?
Well, here's the thing. You have some people who are like, keep a regular routine, and then you have some thoughts on squash the routine. I say do what works for you. You know what you need, right? So for some people, they know that if they deviate away from their normal routine, then their day is just gone and they're not productive, or it causes them to spiral out of control as it relates to maybe depression or anxiety. And I reference anxiety and depression quite often because, one, that's my specialty, and then two, that's something that people are really struggling with as a result of COVID-19. And so I would encourage you, if this works for you, to go ahead and focus on following through with your regular routine. But if that doesn't work for you, that's okay as well. I think the biggest thing to remember as it relates to your day-to-day life is to simply be kind to yourself. I think sometimes we have these expectations that we have to meet productivity, or if I don't come out of COVID-19 with a podcast, or if I don't come out of COVID-19 with a degree. I mean, you have all these expectations, and really, people like me, I just want to rest.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I may not come out with a book. That's okay. Some people just need to rest. So you have to find what works for you, but more importantly, be kind to yourself and not put unrealistic expectations on yourself or others.
That's good.
Yeah.
Those are awesome. So segue it into our next question is, what can we do to deal with mental health issues if they arise?
What can we do to deal with mental health issues? Okay. So the thing with that is, you need to call someone. If you're struggling with your mental health issues, go ahead and connect with, again, your people, just to kind of touch base with them. Because again, if you're home alone, sitting in isolation or having that idle time, you always hear idle time as the devil's playground.
Yes.
That's accurate. It's okay. It's all right. Yeah, like you want to make sure that you're connecting with someone. Connect with your people because you need them, right? And if your people aren't available, which may be normal for some people because people are still busy even in the midst of COVID-19. Let's not get that twisted. Like people are really busy at this time, and probably, if not more, stresses are higher because everyone is trying to adjust, everyone is trying to adapt, and so it's, for one, not fair to have the expectation on somebody else to fix you, but this is a good opportunity for you to do your own work, i.e., reach out to your PCP if you're on medication, or reach out to a therapist if you need to talk. Don't put that pressure on your family members. Don't put that pressure on your friends, because right now, this is a global pandemic that everyone is trying to adapt to and everyone is trying to adjust to. So if you notice that you are struggling mentally, then go ahead and reach out for professional help. Professional help is the key words.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Are there some things that we can do to try to prevent a crisis, a mental breakdown, if you will?
Yeah. I would say COVID-19 has really put things in perspective that everyone has essentially lost control in a way. This is the one thing that we really don't have any control over, and that's okay,
We're
right?
all in the same.
Yeah, we're all vulnerable at the same time. It doesn't matter your status or anything, like where you live, none of that matters. Every single person on this world, in this world, we are affected by COVID-19. And so being that we can't control it, we can control our response to it.
Yes.
We can control what is around us in terms of social distancing, washing our hands, following the orders of the CDC,
Yes.
focusing on your household, managing your family, managing you. I also really push self-care.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really push self-care to kind of keep you from breaking down, for lack of better words. And self-care, a lot of people assume that self-care means spending money. It doesn't always have to include money, but I do have some notes here that I want to share as it relates to self-care. So I'm going to go through the different types of self-care and just a few examples from each, okay? So we have emotional self-care, and what that looks like is obviously scheduling a session with your therapist. Most therapists are doing counseling online, so it's super easy, like almost no excuses at this point.
Right.
Yes.
Name 3 things that you're grateful for is another way to manage your emotional self-care. And for me, I actually do that daily. I have an alarm in my phone that goes off at 12 noon. And I have to stop whatever it is that I'm doing, and I have to say 3 things that I'm grateful for out loud, not just thinking it. And sometimes when I do that, if I'm having a very heavy day, it changes my perspective and the trajectory of my day.
Oh, wonderful.
That is awesome.
Social self-care is another type of self-care. Again, learn a new recipe. Get your girls on Zoom, or get your girls or your friends and family members on FaceTime. FaceTime allows you to do it with multiple people, not just one-on-one at this point. Cook together, have dinner together, have game night together, be creative. Learn a new language, or do something different that you've never done before. That's another way to increase your social self-care. Business self-care. I know a lot of businesses are affected by this. And unfortunately, that's something that we can't necessarily control, as it relates to the economy. However, as a business owner, you can run with the runners, right? Meaning that if you see another business who's still thriving, try to reach out and say, hey, like, what are you doing differently that I should probably be doing at this point, because I'm really struggling in my business. Continue to sharpen your skills as it relates to your craft. That's a way that you can practice business self-care. And the last one is financial self-care. At a time where you have a lot of extra time, or may have a lot of extra time on your hand, revisit your budget and your spending habits. I mean, for some people, this is a very tight time. And so using wisdom in that area and practicing self-care, it will be wise to actually take a look at your budget and your spending habits. And then too, if you can, find ways to be generous to other people and serve.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, one more. Spiritual self-care. I can't leave that out. For my holy ones. I like to create a worship playlist. That has really kept me, and I found that to be helpful for other people that I serve as well. Just having that worship music playing, just kind of reminding me of the promises of God, and not allowing the things that are going on in this world to overwhelm me. And then sometimes too, calling somebody to pray for them, or calling them to pray for you.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes, those are some good.
Those are awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Sharita, we thank you so much this time that we've had with you. And I know I've learned a lot just listening to you. Many of them were common sense items, but they're all great reminders. And we would just like for you to take the time and tell us about your business, because there's people that have a need, and you can help them fulfill their needs.
Yeah, so like Miss Sora Wanda said, my business name is Grace Place Therapy. I can be found at www.graceplacetherapy.com, and all of my social media handles are Sharita Bilson. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Awesome.
Thank you
Have a
so
great
much. On behalf of Target 2 Women's Health and Wellness, we appreciate you taking the time to share with us.
Mhm.
And we hope everyone has a great day and enjoys this workshop.